There's a gap in the map of Europe, 3 kilometers of open water sitting between the toe of Italy's boot and the island of Sicily. For most of recorded history, nothing has crossed it except boats, and because nothing crosses it except boats, 5 million people live on the wrong side of a bottleneck that slows down everything they ship, everything they receive, and very nearly every train that was ever supposed to arrive. This is the Strait of Messina. It is not the widest strait in the world. It is not the deepest. At its narrowest point, the distance from Calabria to Sicily is barely 3 kilometers. You can see the other shore on a clear morning without binoculars. But narrowness is not the point. The point is position and obligation and a century of arguments about whether to build a bridge. The Strait of Messina sits at the far southwest corner of mainland Italy, where the Apennine Peninsula runs out of land. To the west lies the Tyrrhenian Sea. To the east, the Ionian. The strait itself is the only direct passage between them in this part of the Mediterranean, the seam between 2 basins, controlled on both sides by rock that has been moving since before Rome existed. The geology here is restless. The African and Eurasian tectonic plates converge under this water, and the strait is opening at 2 to 3 millimeters per year. On December 28, 1908, the fault beneath the seafloor ruptured at magnitude 7.1. Messina and Reggio Calabria were nearly erased. Roughly 120,000 people died, the deadliest earthquake in European recorded history. The Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology confirmed in 2021 that the responsible fault lies mainly offshore, directly beneath the strait itself. The same fault the bridge would have to span. That detail does not go away. The strait is busy. Ferries have replaced the rowing boats, but the essential logic is unchanged. Everything going in or out of Sicily crosses here or takes a very long way around. The main crossing, between Villa San Giovanni and Calabria and Messina, takes about 20 minutes. Ferries run around the clock every day of the year, carry with approximately 168 daily runs on that route alone. The port of Messina recorded over 8.3 million passenger movements in 2021, making it one of the busiest short sea ferry crossings in Europe. Commercial trucks, refrigerated trailers carrying Sicilian-produced North cars, train wagons rolling onto specialized ferries built to carry them. Everything queues, loads, crosses, unloads, and queues again. Meanwhile, on the broader sea around it, the Mediterranean carries somewhere between 15 and 20% of global maritime shipping activity, with major lanes running east-west between Suez and Gibraltar passing south of Sicily, and north-south routes threading up toward Italian, French, and Spanish ports. The strait itself sees constant commercial and naval traffic, tankers, container feeders, boat carriers, all of them subject to a mandatory vessel traffic management system run by the Italian Coast Guard since 2008. With a roundabout-style separation scheme built specifically to manage the collision risk between north-south through traffic and the east-west ferry crossings that run perpendicular to it. Navigating Messina under power is manageable. Doing it under sail in the wrong conditions is a different problem. The currents can hit 3 knots and reverse direction every 6 hours. Sicily has a GDP per capita roughly half that of the wealthiest northern Italian regions. Youth unemployment in the south has repeatedly exceeded 40%, while the north stayed in single digits. There are structural reasons for this divide: history, land reform, institutional gaps, but the water is part of it. Every truck crossing the strait adds delay and cost. Every refrigerated shipment of produce from Catania or Palermo heading to Milan burns more hours sitting in a ferry queue than it would if the A3 highway simply continued across a bridge. The cost of doing business on an island that looks, on a map, like it should be seamlessly connected to the mainland. It compounds. The bridge has been discussed since Mussolini. The engineering studies have stacked up for 60 years. In 2023, Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni's government revived the project with real momentum. In August 2025, the government gave final formal approval. The numbers are significant: a main suspended span of 300 meters, making it the longest suspension bridge in the world, nearly a kilometer longer than the current record holder, Turkey's 1915 Arnakel Bridge, which spans 203 meters across the Dardanelles, towers rising to 399 meters. A deck wide enough for 6 vehicle lanes and a double-track railway capable of handling up to 200 trains per day. Total project cost €13.5 billion. Projected completion 2032. Then on October 29, 2025, Italy's Court of Auditors declined to validate the resolution, not a final kill but a freeze. The court cited violations of EU directives on habitat conservation and public procurement rules, questioned whether a tender originally awarded in 2005 still held legal validity given the change in costs. and noted the regional authority had not provided the required opinion on the tariff structure. Prime Minister Meloni vowed to press forward regardless. Infrastructure Minister Matteo Salvini in February 2026 said a government decree would hold the cost at $13.5 billion, and that construction would begin this year. The project's CEO indicated a new resolution might be cleared for validation by the Court of Auditors by September 2026, with main bridge construction potentially starting in March 2027. So in mid-2026, this is where it stands. Preliminary road and rail connection works tentatively scheduled to begin. Main bridge construction not yet authorized. Legal challenge not yet resolved. A project with 60 years of studies and one active court ruling against it, sitting on top of the most seismically active submarine fault in Europe. Close the strait and what happens? In a military context, the answer is rapid. Italian naval doctrine, NATO southern flank logistics, and the movement of Allied vessels between the Tyrrhenian and the Ionian would all be affected. This is the interior passage that lets the Italian peninsula function as a coherent strategic unit rather than two coastlines that can only communicate by sailing around the island. Carried in an economic context, close the ferries for a week, a winter storm, a labor strike, an event like 1908, and Sicily's supply chains begin to feel it within days. Produce rots. Fuel reserves tighten. A 5 million person economy that produces real agricultural output, citrus, wine, olive oil, loses its connection to the continent. The bridge, if built, would change the calculus. A fixed link across 3 kilometers of contested geology, carrying trains and trucks and cars without tides or queues, would finally close the gap in the Italian map. The question that has not been answered in a century of proposals is whether you can build something permanent on a fault that moves. The Romans tried to keep this strait open with their fleets. Italy has been trying to close it with a bridge for 60 years. The water is still winning.